Welcome to this episode of The Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, brought to you by Self-Realization Fellowship, where each week you can receive inspiration and guidance from Paramahansa Yogananda's Kriya Yoga teachings. The subject of this episode is What is the Soul? By Brother Kamalananda.
Good morning, friends, again. It's always a joy to be with you all at the SRF Temple in Glendale. Our topic this morning is a very profound and deep one. It's called, What is the Soul? And this is a topic that will probably take multiple hours to cover effectively, so we'll just touch upon the key concepts today. Because the topic really spans all the way from the beginning of creation to the time when each soul attains its oneness with Spirit. How do we define the soul? And I'm going to read to you what our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda wrote about the soul. He said, the soul as a reflection of God is made in the image of God. God is omnipresent, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. The soul is individualized, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. In other words, we are individualized particles of that infinite source. We are always connected with God, with infinite Spirit. Guruji goes on to say, though usually unrecognizable behind its mask of mortal consciousness, desires and habits, this perfect image of God nonetheless dwells within the body temple of each human being. I'll read that again. Though usually unrecognizable, behind its mask of human consciousness, of mortal consciousness, desires and habits, this perfect image of God nonetheless dwells within the body temple of each human being. Notice Guruji is saying that our bodies are temples. They are not just physical organisms. They are temples. Why? Because the soul, the perfect image of God, resides in this temple. And where does the soul reside in the human body? In the 1,000-petal lotus of spiritual consciousness in the brain. That is the seat of the soul. There is a very profound, deep yogic science behind this. So you see, we are not the body. The body is just merely a vehicle, an instrument through which we interact, we interface in this world. Our true identity is the soul. The soul is using this body to work in this world. The body will pass away one day, but we, the soul, are indestructible. No fire can burn it, no water can drown it, no wind can dry it. It is indestructible consciousness. That is what we are, friends. We are indestructible consciousness, ever one with the infinite. So I mentioned the story of creation. So who are we? Why are we here? How did we get here? Where are we going? What is our purpose of existence on this planet? What is the purpose of creation itself? These are all questions we have asked. And the answers to these questions hold the key to understanding the soul and its true nature. So, I'm going to ask us to take a step back and look at the really, really big picture, going back to the beginning of creation. Our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda gives us a visualization exercise in one of the lessons to help us understand, to help us picture how it was like when God began creation, or even before God began creation. So I'm going to ask you to practice this visualization exercise with me as I walk you through it. So please close your eyes and imagine that you are asleep and calmly dreaming of a vast space. Just picture that for a moment. You are asleep and calmly dreaming of a vast space. Everywhere you look, you see nothing but endless space. And feel it as an infinite, blissful peace permeated by an omniscient intelligence. So this space is filled with a blissful peace and permeated by an omniscient intelligence. Keep your eyes closed as I walk you through the rest. So this is how it was before God began creation. There was endless bliss, endless peace, endless wisdom. So God began to muse, to think, long have I remained thus alone, very peaceful, absorbed in my own bliss, consciousness, and wisdom. But now I am going to dream a cosmos, so my creation can enjoy this peace, this bliss, this wisdom with me. So the singularity divided itself into all of creation, into all of us. It created souls, sparks of divinity, and endowed every living being with that spark. Now open your eyes. Well, we can legitimately ask this question, why did God do this? Why did He create this cosmos? Especially when you look around and see the sufferings in the world and the seeming injustices in the world. It doesn't seem like a very divine creation, does it? There is so much sorrow and pain and suffering in this creation. And yet, of course, not to diminish the fun and the joy we have from time to time as well, as part of life. And we have all asked this question, Lord, why? Why did you create us? Now Guruji explains it thus. He says that this is a cosmic show that God created for entertainment. This is His cosmic Leela, as they call it in India, cosmic drama. It is His play. He created it for fun, but it's not fun often for those of us who are part of His creation. And our Guru tells us that the only way we can make sense of this is by realizing our true identity as the soul. What has happened, friends, is that we have become so engrossed in the drama that we have forgotten who we truly are. You see, when we are dreaming in sleep, sometimes those dreams are so real, right? We can taste, touch, smell, hear. All the five senses are functioning, even though we are semi-conscious or in subconsciousness. And that dream is so real, but when we wake up from that dream, we realize it was only a dream. It had no reality. It is the same thing that we are in. This is God's dream, and we are in that dream. And until we wake up in God, this dream is going to be very real to all of us. But the dream has no ultimate reality. There is one concept called Maya in Sanskrit, or cosmic delusion. When God created this cosmos, He subject all of His creation to this cosmic delusion of Maya. It's a cosmic hypnosis that He has subject us to. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like this part at all. But in defense of God, as if He needs defense, but for my own rational thinking, without Maya, creation would have dissolved back into God immediately, instantaneously. He would have created it and it would have come back into Him or it instantaneously. But that was not God's purpose. He had to keep creation going for it to serve its purpose. And the only way to do that was He had to create duality. Light and darkness, health and disease, life and death, happiness and sorrow. You see, just like when we are watching a movie, if you just had white light on the screen, there would be no movie. You would be bored in a few seconds and you would leave. A movie is a movie because of its contrasts, of its light and shadows, of its change. That is what makes a movie entertaining. So to make creation continue and to be entertaining, God had to create this law of duality, this cosmic hypnosis called Maya. And this duality makes us forget our identity with the soul, with God, and we become hypnotized in this drama of creation. The saving grace in all of this is that Maya is only an illusion. It is only an illusion. The soul is always one with God. But Maya makes us forget this truth and makes us feel that we are these limited mortal human beings. But fortunately, God has given us free will, reason and feeling through which we can awaken ourselves from this dream and realize our true identity as a soul. There is a story from ancient India that I would like to share with you that explains this cosmic hypnosis or Maya. In thousands of years ago, there was a great rishi or great saint in India by the name of Narada. Narada had practiced penances and spiritual discipline for many years. He had really lived a very pure life. So one day, his concept of God is called Ishta. Ishta is meaning our personal, conscious, personal concept of God. So the concept of God that he worshipped or communed with was Vishnu. Vishnu is considered the God of divine love. So in response to Narada's prayers, one day Vishnu appeared to him in his hermitage. And he praised Narada for his spiritually disciplined life. And he said, I'm very pleased with you. Is there any wish you want me to fulfill? I'll be happy to do that for you. And Narada asked for a very strange wish. He said, Lord, I have heard so much about this Maya, this cosmic illusion. can you explain to me what it is? And the Lord said, sure, I'll be happy to do that. Why don't we go on a little walk? So they leave the shady courtyard of the hermitage and they walk through this open land, and the sun is scorching down. The heat of the day begins to really pick up, and they keep walking and walking. And it's desert everywhere. And after some time, Vishnu tells Narada, I'm very thirsty. We need to look for some water. So they look around, and in the distance they see a tiny hamlet with a few huts. And Vishnu says, Narada, can you go to that hamlet and get me some water? And Narada says, sure, Lord. And Vishnu waits for him there. Narada departs, and he knocks on the door of the first home, and a beautiful young woman opens a door, and Narada is completely mesmerized looking at her. And she welcomes him in. He goes in. Her father, mother, brother, they're all there. They welcome him. He feels like he's been part of this family forever. And they ask him to join them for the meal. He completely forgets why he came there. And they invite him to join their meal. And after some time, Narada asks the father to marry his daughter, and he agrees. They get married. 12 years pass. They have 3 children. And eventually the father-in-law dies, and so Narada inherits his business, and he becomes the head of the household. And one day, there is a sudden flood. There is a torrential rains, unseasonal torrential rain, and flash flooding happens. So Narada, in panic, wants to evacuate the house with his wife and 3 kids. So he grabs his wife in one hand, he takes the 2 boys in his other hand, and he puts the youngest one on his shoulder, and he opens the door of the house and he goes out, and there is a flood outside the house. He steps in and he slips, and this little boy on his shoulder falls into the water, and he just swept away. And then in trying to grab that little boy who falls down, he leaves the other 2 boys that he's holding with his one hand, and they get swept away. And before he knows, he slips again, and his wife leaves him, and they're all just swimming and just getting swept by this torrential flood. And he completely loses where they are. And he's desperately trying to swim and try to find where they are. He can't find them. And he is completely distraught. Eventually he loses consciousness. He is somehow stranded on a little hillock that is above the water. And after some time he regains consciousness, and he recognizes what has happened. He has lost his family. He has lost his home. Everything is gone. And he just starts sobbing aloud. He looks everywhere. There is just sheets of water and him all alone on this little hillock. And then he hears this familiar voice, child, and he turns around, and instead of seeing water, he sees this desert sand. And he sees Vishnu standing by his shoulder. And he says, child, where is the water I sent you to fetch? And Vishnu helps him on his feet. And he asks him, do you understand the power of my Maya? And Narada nods. He recognizes that this cosmic hypnosis makes this dream so real and makes us forget our true nature as a soul. And we get wrapped up in this drama. And we feel we are these cringing, limited, mortal human beings with no power, when all the time we are connected to the infinite source. It's easy for us to chuckle at that story, but you and I right now are in that cosmic hypnosis. Right? We are in that cosmic hypnosis. We take our roles and situations in life so seriously. It is very enticing. It is designed to be so. It is by design. And the game of creation is to help us awaken from that cosmic hypnosis. Now, when God created creation, He had to set into motion certain laws. There are two fundamental laws that are so essential for creation and for creation to make sense, to have meaning. Otherwise, creation has no purpose. It's just a random set of occurrences. What are these two laws? The first law is the law of reincarnation, and the second is the law of karma. And I'll talk with you about this. Reincarnation. So by reincarnation, the soul travels through mineral, plants, animals, eventually incarnating in human form. And according to the yogic scriptures of ancient India, the soul goes through 8 million or so incarnations in lower forms of life before it attains human birth. 8 million. So we have been all kinds of creatures before we finally found birth in this human body. So it is very precious what we have. Let me read to you what Paramahansa Ji said about reincarnation. He said, reincarnation means that the true image of spirit, the immortal soul, survives the perishable body and passes to another body. This process is repeated many times until the soul fulfills its destiny and becomes united with spirit. This is self-realization, recognition of one's own self as eternal bliss, eternal consciousness, eternal existence. Fundamental law. The second is the law of karma. Karma means the law of cause and effect. What we sow, we reap. And it is intimately tied with the law of reincarnation. Through many, many incarnations of trial and error in human life, perhaps thousands of incarnations, we start gradually to recognize that we are the masters of our destiny. We are not puppets of some unknown fate. We are creating our own destiny through our own actions, and we realize that everything that is happening in our life, good or bad, is the creation of ourselves. It is due to the effects of actions we have performed either in this life or in a former incarnation. Gradually the light bulb goes on at some point in our evolution, and we start connecting the dots. We may not be able to see exactly what action we performed that has yielded the present circumstance, but we know intuitively that there is something we have done for the present situation to arise in our lives. And through understanding and wisdom, we gradually start avoiding actions and thoughts that bring sorrow to ourselves and to others, and start performing actions that bring happiness to ourselves and to others. You see, all of life is a divine school. We are here to learn lessons, to evolve spiritually. I want to spend a little time talking about the evolution of the soul. Friends, the whole secret of this creation is that we scrape out the crust of delusion that has accumulated around our souls through incarnations of living in ignorance. Because of Maya. We can blame it on God. Because He subject us to Maya, we made mistakes. We got engrossed in the dream, and we make mistakes. And each action, like we said, has its own reaction. And gradually this pure soul, this pure reflection of God, gradually starts accumulating around itself layers of delusion, until it becomes so big that the soul is completely buried inside that crust. Our goal is to learn to live in this world as divine beings, always remembering our connection with God. Yes, we have to play the parts that God has given us. Yes, we have to be part of this dream. We cannot escape. There is no escape. Where are we going to go? There is no escape. We have to be in this dream. And yet, always remember that this is a dream. And live in this world like divine beings. As I mentioned earlier, the soul incarnates in human form after 8 million or so lives in lower life forms. So this human life is very, very precious. And after many thousands of incarnations in the human form, we say, Lord, enough. I want out of this drama. Make me free. And that is when our spiritual life begins. That is when we start asking the right questions and taking the right steps to awaken ourselves from delusion. That brings us to the science of yoga. The key to unlocking the mystery of life. The science of yoga is the science of the soul, friends. It is a science of the soul. Why is this human life so precious? Because only in a human body, through a human incarnation, can we awaken our divine nature. Why? Because the human body is uniquely endowed with 7 centers of spiritual consciousness in the spine and the brain. And when we awaken those centers, we achieve freedom. Now the Kriya Yoga teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, our Guru, give us a step-by-step methodology, scientific meditation techniques to gradually awaken, to gradually scrape this crust of delusion. And he also teaches us the how to live principles, how to live in this world as divine beings. So the combination of the meditation, powerful meditation techniques that elevate our consciousness from mortal consciousness gradually to divine consciousness, and the science of how to live in this world as divine beings. I brought with me 2 of these lessons for those of you who are new. Lesson number 9, God and His universe. And lesson number 10, the cycles of life and death. Everything that we have spoken of today is just a little sprinkle of what is covered in such great depth in these lessons. You will understand the purpose of creation, the purpose of your existence in this creation, and how to free yourself from this cosmic hypnosis of Maya. Step by step, Guruji has taught us. Now, for those of you who are new and who may be curious to learn more, I encourage you to enroll for the Self-Realization Fellowship lessons by going to srflessons.org. You will find information about the lessons and how to enroll. The last point I would like to cover is to talk about the equality of all souls. Like we talked about in the beginning, God created creation and He divided Himself into all of these divine souls, all of us, all living beings, not just human beings, but all living creatures. Not on just this planet, but in this universe. Our minds can't even comprehend the scale. But He endowed all of us, all souls. He made them equal. There is no difference between any of us. Yes, there is difference in our mortal consciousness because of our karma, of our actions in the past, but in essence, we are the same. The soul, a ball of gold, is a ball of gold, whether it is purely reflected or if you put a whole mountain on top of it, it is still a ball of gold. So we are all the same, and until we recognize the equality of all souls, there cannot be world peace. World peace will come only when we recognize that we are all equal children of God. And the quickest way to achieve that is to expand our human consciousness to divine consciousness through the practice of scientific techniques of meditation and through practicing following the laws of right living and through devotion, through love for God. In his autobiography of a yogi, Paramahansa wrote, through the use of the Kriya key, meaning the Kriya Yoga technique, persons who cannot bring themselves to believe in the divinity of any man will behold at last the full divinity of their own selves. When we recognize that we are divine, we understand that everyone is divine. We may be in different stages of recognizing that in our own lives, but essentially we are all perfect images of God. So in closing, I would like to read to you this quote from our Guru. Please close your eyes and listen with concentration. He said, our real self, the soul, is immortal. We may sleep for a while, for a little while in that change called death, but we can never be destroyed. We exist, and that existence is eternal. The wave comes to the shore and then goes back to the sea. It is not lost. It becomes one with the ocean or returns again in the form of another wave. This body has come and it will vanish, but the soul essence within it will never cease to exist. Nothing can terminate that eternal consciousness. So I have this one affirmation, if we can practice it together, keeping your eyes closed. I'll read it once all the way through and then we will repeat it together a few times. And as we repeat it, feel the meaning behind the words. Really try to understand, try to assimilate what we are repeating here. So the affirmation goes as such. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. So please repeat after me. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. I am the blessed child of sweet immortality, sent here to play the drama of births and deaths, but always remembering my deathless self. Om. Peace. Amen.
This has been a production of Self-Realization Fellowship, a non-profit organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1920. For more information about Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda, please visit yogananda.org.